Hi, this is Peter Godinez, your ambassador with KDY TV, and we have been waiting a long time for this gentleman, and this is Alfonso Gamino. He is the superintendent of the Santa Paula Unified School District, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have him because there are some really great things going on in Santa Paula, and this audience really needs to know what's going on. But inquiring minds want to know, and I think it's more appropriate to kind of tell us, a little bit about your background and where you're raised. Is that okay?
Absolutely, it's okay.
All right.
Thank you. Well, let me just try to be brief. I did come from Mexico when I was 6 years old. I came to Fireball, California. Fireball is a very small town. It was 3,000 people back then. I come from a farm working family.
Okay.
One of the traits that my parents always said, work hard, go to school, do what you got to do, and just do it the right way. So I grew up in Fireball. I attended Fireball schools, elementary, middle, and high. And in the process, during the summers, I would go out there and work on the fields. That's kind of, those were my summers, and I had a lot of thinking time when I was out there in those fields.
It takes you to do that.
It does. So it gave me a lot of time to think and to reflect in terms of what I wanted to do. I had a great time doing that. However, I knew I wanted to do other things. So I did attend Fresno State after that. Went to Fresno State, became a Bulldog for a few years there. Got a teaching credential, and at 24 or so, I started teaching in Fireball, a 5th grade class, elementary. And after 4 years of what I would consider success experience, my principal had approached me and said, "Hey, I think you seem to have the knack of working with kids, working with adults, working with anybody that comes around you. So
Right.
you got to think about maybe becoming an administrator." So at that time, I figured, I was 27 or so. Okay, I went and took some classes. I did become the fortunate thing, or unfortunate in some ways. I wanted to become an administrator there in Fireball. That was my goal.
Right.
My goal was at that point to become a principal, and there was an opening or two there, and I was one of the kind of finalists, but wasn't selected. I had a wife and a child at that point that was like 6 months old.
Right.
And we were renting. So I figured, let me apply elsewhere. I applied in Lancaster, California, of all places.
Oh my goodness.
Eastside Elementary School District for a vice principal position. I go out there, interview, come back home, and 30 minutes later I get a call, say, "Hey, we would like to offer you an assignment." And at that point in time, I wasn't really thinking, okay, am I going to move the family? What's that going to be? But my wife and I said, "Hey, let's just go." So we went. We felt the opportunity opened. There's a door. I went out there, became a vice principal for about 4 months. One of our principals got ill at the elementary level, so I became the principal the last month and a half. And then I applied for that vacant position, and I became a principal just in a matter of months. I was there for about 6-7 years. It was Eastside Elementary School.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of good success there. We brought our APIs. Back then we had their APIs. It started
Yes.
like in 99.
Mm-hmm.
We were averaging like 38, 40 API point growth a year average, some years less, some years more. And my wife and I finally decided after like 7 years, okay, either we're going to stay here or what do we want to do? Because we were starting to think, okay, do we want our kids to be a little closer maybe to some family members or not, or to their relatives? So we said, okay, well, let's look around. I looked at Bakersfield. I was there. I got there. Bakersfield is the largest elementary school district in the state.
Big.
I got there. The superintendent interviewed me, and I said, at some point, I would like to become a director or something at the district level. But first, you need to kind of see that I can do the job as principal,
Right.
So I became a principal. In my first year in Bakersfield City, out of the 43 schools, we had the highest API gains.
Wow.
And people were like, "Whoa, what is he doing?"
do?
And exactly. Well, and it wasn't any magic. You work with teachers, you work with kids, you work with parents. and you have high expectations, and you every day you're there early. People see you set the tone.
Interesting.
And so I did that. I was there for 2 years. Then the director of personnel position opened at the district level, and I applied for it, and it was selected. I did that 2 years. I told my superintendent basically, as long as you're here, I'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my superintendent then was Dr. Jean Fuller. I don't know if you heard of Jean Fuller.
No.
She's a state assembly lady out in Sacramento, or was.
High ups.
Yeah, high up. So I thought, okay. So then in Tulare, the assistant soup job opened. I said, well, this is a promotion, and it's maybe closer to home. Maybe let me give it a shot. And actually, I didn't apply for it the first time, figuring they probably are going to select somebody from the district. They did not, and so when I saw it open the second time, I told the wife, hey, well, I guess they didn't select anybody from the district. So I did apply for it. Was fortunate enough to be selected for the assignment. Mm-hmm. I did that for 6 years. I was the assistant soup for 6 years. On that 6th year, my daughter, oldest daughter, she said, hey, you know what, I'm going to apply to Long Beach. And she said, well, there's an opening in Santa Paula, that's closer, if I ever want to come home on a weekend or so. And I started thinking about it, and I figured, well, I guess it doesn't hurt, but I did bring the kids. By then, I started realizing, it's not just all about me. At first, I said, I want to get the next job, but this is the first time where I figured, let me take the kids over there, because if it's going to be a big disruption. Now, my oldest daughter was going to college, so she was not going to be home, period, anyway. But I had a kid coming into 8th grade, and I had a kid coming into 4th grade, and I wanted to see them, because they were going to basically be out of their home. I brought them over here once I realized, okay, they're seriously considering me. In Tulare, we had over 100-degree weather for like 2.5 weeks. I bring them out here. It was like 76. And my son, which I was more concerned with, he goes, "Hey, let's move over here."
He was ready.
He was ready, and so when he said that, I felt a lot better, because at that point I figured I need to see what's best for the family, and if it's best that I stay, then I need to cut the process quickly here. They were very happy. And I've been here now 2 years. I'm in my 3rd year and very excited.
Time has gone by so fast, and I want to say how impressed I am. We did a shout out for your wife. Behind every great man, there's a woman supporting it. And so thank you so much for bringing it great. But you have 4 kids and 2 of each gender.
2 of each gender, and I appreciate you acknowledging. I don't worry about the kids' homework. I don't worry about who's taking them home, who's bringing them, who's helping them do this, who's taking them to that activity. You're correct. She does all that and does it very well.
I've said to many husbands, because how come you didn't mention me? So it's all that. But Alfonso, you came at such an interesting time, because when I was. I've been a part of the district for many years, and it was always Santa Paula Elementary and Santa Paula High School. You came in a time when the unification was taking place. Now, a lot of people take credit for a lot of the fact that they did the stuff before you got here, but you had a lot to do. So now that you're here in your 3 years, what would you say the top 3 things that you would like the audience to know, and where you need the support and the encouragement?
Well, I would say a couple of things. Is one, unification is a very, if you're going to do it well, it's a very time-intensive process. My first 2 years here, the average number of board meetings that you have to conduct district business is about 24, 22. We were doing more than 40 meetings each of my first 2 years here. And a lot of it is because we have to start with establishing our mission and vision. We have to start with our logo. We have to start with what's our educational plan. We have to there's a lot of we have to create new board policies. Mm-hmm. We have to negotiate 2 new contracts, union contracts.
Yes.
We had 2 teacher contracts, trying to convert them into 1.
It's amazing.
Same thing with classify. And those meetings, just so you know the intensity, we had about 40 meetings with each union to get that first contract done, where it was well balanced. It was going to help them, and it's going to help us. It was well balanced. It's going to help we want to make sure we had something that both sides could live with and work from. And in order to do a great job like that, very, very time intensive. You also want to have a community that when they look at you, they see in you the superintendent as a unified superintendent. He, in this case it's he, it could be she or he, but in this case he, meaning me, my goal was when they look at me, they're looking at as the unified superintendent, not
Yes.
as the one that favors the elementary or favors the high school.
Yes.
I tell folks that kinder kid becomes a middle school kid, becomes a high school kid.
Exactly.
It's the same kid.
Exactly.
And we have to help them every stage of the way. And so those getting the contracts was number two. Very difficult, very time consuming, very tedious, but a very good final product. And I was very proud of that. And the third thing I would say, trying to get the staff to work together. Now when I have leadership meetings, I feel very fortunate. I have the elementary, the middle, and the high school principals together here in the same thing and having a discussion on the same thing in the same place, and that would never take place.
So this was all done. You're doing all this, but students have to be taught. So it's not like you could just close a restaurant down and not serve anybody. You actually had people go into the system. So it's quite impressive that you were getting both done. I mean,
part of it, I will tell you, part of it was the fact that I do live here in Santa Paula, and I will tell you there were many weekends I spent here. Just when we had school, you're running a school district, that's a full-time job. So when school's in session, my door's always open. So people come in, we talk, we discuss. There's a lot of the district business, the education business that take place. Sometimes in the evening when everybody's gone, then I would do some of the other stuff. Sometimes on the weekend. But yeah, we still had expectation for the kids. The teachers and the classified folks, I think they did a really great job of, as we're going through the process, making sure that our focus still was on the kids, that they get the best education they can. So there's a lot of all these things that we do, knowing that really just to run the district is a full-time job in itself. It's 98% of our job is to run a district. So when you're focusing on all these other things, I think you mentally you say yourself set for that is you have to get it done. It has to be done, and it's going to take time and effort. Anything that's worth something is going to take time and effort, and we've spent plenty of time and effort. But I feel very pleased where we're at this point.
well, you look pleased, so I don't know if you're a great actor or just very sincere, but maybe both. But sometimes people don't realize that they can give help because they don't get asked. But if you had to say what kind of encouragement, support that you could use from not only just the Santa Paula area, but let's say Ventura County, what types of thing? Always money's always nice, but
Sure.
What other things would you envision that you would love to just engage in this community we live in called Ventura County?
Well, I would just say that the county office has been very supportive, I must say. So one of the things that I was looking forward to is making sure that we're not out here in Island all by ourselves. We are part of Ventura County. I will tell you that the superintendent, the county superintendent actually invited me to his office like the first day or 2 days that I was there. I went and had a good conversation with him.
Was that Mr. Mantooth?
Mr. Mantooth.
He'd be real mad if I didn't make
Yes,
that.
it's Mr. Mantooth.
Stan Mantooth. Okay, go ahead.
He opened his doors. He met with, at that point, he met with me and Cesar Morales, the new
Yes.
superintendent at that
Yes.
time for the Oxnard Elementary. And he brought in his staff. And to me, it really showed sincerity that they were there to help. The county office was there to support us, to help us, and to guide us in some ways. And they've done a really great job with that. All of them have, and so we were very happy with that. Stan followed back with me 2 weeks later. We had breakfast. He said, "Hey, how are things going? Are there anything else you need from me?" So I think that collaboration. We have a collaboration meetings every month with all superintendents. I was very amazed too that I was part of those. It was like 22 of us or so, 20 of us.
Wow.
Everybody welcomed me in, and it felt really good. So when you go to the meetings, you see what's going on throughout the county, what's going on in each of the districts, and you try to help each other in terms of, well, here's what I do when this happens, and it's very open, it's a very good process. So I would just say that collaboration with the county is great, and we want to obviously to continue that, and certainly partnering up with VC Innovates. You know, we were part of that 13 million grant that that we received, and so because of that we're offering 5 pathways. Well, we're planning for, we've started implementing one already, and because of that collaboration, we will have 5 pathways, and 5 additional pathways here in Santa Paula High School in the years to come.
You know, I'm loving it as I'm getting goosebumps just hearing you talk, but just, I don't think a lot of people know that superintendents actually collaborate. And again, I can't list all of them, but what a dream team. There's you and Caesar and it's Gabe Salmakian and Stan Mantu. Now, granted, you need an empowered woman in that particular, and they are, but what a team, you know? And then the VC Innovate, I mean, we've met the liaisons. What an absolute inertia. People have to just get excited about what's actually going on here.
They are. We're very excited because we're part of all these districts, and there's a lot of lady superintendents there. Probably more ladies than
I
Kelly
Hayes. This is the first
Debbie
3.
Cuevas.
How can you mention the empowered women? So
They are. Actually, we're about half and half. I haven't counted them, but we're about half and half. But we really are working together through the process, having good conversations, and we have to do that for our own staff.
No, I love it. It's the fact that you guys are connecting, and you know, I just want to wrap up by saying how much I finally get a chance to talk to you. I hope there's more. I've met a lot of your staff. I'm impressed. I won't mention them by name because they'll get mad at me too there. But thank you so much for spending time and sharing this with our audience. And may history show that you were definitely a huge part of the success of education in the city of Santa Paula.
Well, thank you, and I do hope that through our actions that does indeed happen. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Again, this is Peter Godinez, your ambassador. Until next time.